Hi there. It's Nell Derick Debevoise, founder and CEO of Inspiring Capital, and I want to share a little bit of Inspiring Capital's history with you as background. So I'm going to share some slides. Here we go. I like to call it the herstory of Inspiring Capital. My mom points out that I started asking about herstory versus history when I was about 4 years old, so we're going to run with that. The first important thing to know about the vast majority, perhaps all companies, is that it's easy to think success looks like this fabulous straight line from a friends and family round that gets done in your uncle's basement to some seed investors, VC, leading to a ping pong table and other startup fun, beer on tap, ending in this fabulous IPO and $1 billion exit and villas for all the initial leadership team. Well, certainly not the case for Inspiring Capital. Looks a lot more like that squiggly line on the right, and probably even a little bit more like a roller coaster, if you can picture that in your head. So the next thing to say is that, we are doing work that is, I think, quite cutting edge and forward looking about a new way of doing business, of finding work, of training people to work. And we absolutely stand on the shoulders of giants. And so one fun example is Tom's of Maine. You may know them from your toothpaste or other products, but they have been at this business as a force for good for decades, as have many, many, many other companies and leaders. And similarly, our approach to personal development and human betterment as a business imperative is something that many leaders, CEOs, and companies have been doing for a long time. So it's not necessarily that this is new, it's just that we have gotten biased and sort of narrow-minded about a very financialized, short-term way of doing business and treating and training people. So a quick timeline that you can have the slides and go through more one by one if you're interested to, and obviously follow up with questions. I love talking about my company. It is my baby, as so many entrepreneurs will tell you. But just kind of broad strokes to bring you through the history. I'm going to stop the share so that we're not distracted by those slides. But we started in 2013 as a consulting firm designed to help not-for-profit organizations think about earned revenue models. Within about a year, I had one MBA working for me who I got to know through Columbia Business School, where we both went. And she said, do we want another intern this summer? Columbia has subsidy, which is how she had come on the year before. I said, sure, you've worked out to be a great thought partner and ally. And so we put out a simple posting explaining what we did, this work with nonprofits, thinking about earned revenue strategies for financial sustainability, stability, and growth of impact. And we kind of put it out to business school career boards and channels that we knew. Within 2 weeks, we had 72 candidates from top schools around the country, top candidates at all the schools across the country. And we were just blown away. So that was the beginning of a pivot that we have, pretty much closed the circle on now, toward training business professionals, largely folks with some kind of private sector background, helping them to understand how to use those skills and experience that they have of a business career, private sector career, to contribute to a new way of doing things, a healthier, fairer, more inclusive and regenerative version of capitalism. And so from starting in 2014, we ran our first fellowship, which is how we do a lot of our work in groups of 8 to 20 people who come together to learn about themselves, their own career development, personal development, mindfulness, well-being, all of that more internal stuff, as well as the external we and world levels of how to be a purposeful, compassionate, collaborative, infinite leader, and then how to not only be aware of, but contribute to social and environmental impact in the world around you. So we did that for several years on a B2C basis. We worked not only with MBA students, but also with women looking to reenter the workforce who had a similar basket of skills, but different and similar challenges, putting those skills to use in a way that felt fulfilling and also flexible for them, given their obligations in raising children and a family. And just for professionals at large. We ran several fellowships for about 220 folks in all. Those were pretty deep, like 30 to 100-hour immersions in those small groups and very much in person. And so again, it included individual work, pre-work, reflection, thinking, as well as expert speakers, live, recorded, and third party, and then the group dynamic of those peer learning and discussions guided by us as Inspiring Capital, and also more formally and informally in small learning groups. And what we found was that there was incredible magic in this work, right? It was really gratifying for people to grapple with not their own identity and how they could best contribute to the world based on their skills, their interests, their needs, but then also to have those discussions with peers as well as experts, as well as the growing Inspiring Capital community of folks who was maybe a few years ahead of them on the purposeful journey path. So in 2016, 17, we started getting interest from employers who said, gosh, I would really like my people to be purposeful and everything that comes with that, including focused, innovative, collaborative, right? We know that having a sense of purpose of what you want to contribute to makes us better in all those ways as people and teammates and global citizens. So we started we did some really awesome pilots with American Express and Cisco, as well as smaller, newer companies. And the outpouring of interest and response was great. People indeed felt empowered and invested in and really gratified to understand that even as a marketing VP at Amex, they absolutely had levers to have impact in the world, both at work and in their personal lives. But we hit some real roadblocks. A lot of the teams were not able or willing for a number of reasons to spend the time and the money to do the deeper work that we knew it takes. Remember, our initial fellowships were 30 to 100 hours, right? Not a one-off workshop. So we had a lot of bumps in the road there, ending in near bankruptcy and real kind of hitting a wall in Q4 of 2018. 4 of the things that looked extremely likely to go forward into contract fell away to 0 in a series of weeks over that time in Q4 2018. And so in 2019, I had to make really, really difficult decisions to lay off essentially the entire team. We had opened a North Carolina office, which had been so challenging but gratifying. The Research Triangle is a hub of for-profit, for-purpose businesses and B Corps. And we had to close that office and lay our colleague there off, as well as laying several other people off that we had raised money to grow to include. So that provoked a lot of important questions, after I had recovered from the blow of that contraction about, not only is this a thing as Inspiring Capital of helping people to live and work more purposefully, but also is it my thing? Is it what I want to be spending my time on? And what I came to is that yes, it really was, and that yes, we had created some really valuable intellectual property over those 7 years of hard, in-person, very kind of analog, repetitive work that had led to some real insights and again, a framework that we now call the spectrum of impact and the spheres of impact, forming the My Why Impact Dashboard, which could help to anchor our work in a more scalable, replicable way. So started to rebuild the team slowly but wisely and started digitizing all of our content in November 2019, launched our first online course, knowing that scalability was going to be an important part of growth. And then COVID-19 hit. So TBA, where this chapter that we're in right now brings us. But I hope that this will be the era that turns Inspiring Capital from a vitamin, right? Kind of a nice to have that you know is good for you and makes work better and life better, but into an aspirin, something that you wake up in the middle of the night just grabbing for on your nightside table because you have such pain and urgency to fix it that you know you need to do something. And I think that this pandemic has revealed the fact that mental health and mindfulness on the personal level, interdependence on the we level, and that sense of purpose of contributing to a better future on the world level are not nice to haves, but must haves. And so we have been busy at work getting a lot of interest in what we do, our content and our approach, and look forward to doing a lot more of it, both B2C, but also B2B in the future. So I'll bring back a few of these slides just to show that we do indeed think about a lot of these good old days over our 7 years of history, and there is some bad and ugly. So again, we'll include these slides if you're keen to kind of peruse step by step what that has looked like for us. As I said, I really hope this is our moment going from a vitamin to an aspirin on these 3 points of mindfulness for ourselves as humans, of interdependence for us as teams and communities, and finally, on the world level, having that sense of purpose, contributing to something larger to keep us motivated and focused, even among disruption like a pandemic and all of the other versions of disruption that we know will come in the 21st century. And so this leaves us where we stand now of having this vision as Inspiring Capital of a world in which we all have the permission, the tools, guidance, and inspiration that we all want and need to lead meaningful lives, so that together we can build flourishing teams, communities, and a thriving planet. Thanks for listening, and thank you for being part of the Inspiring Capital journey. We're so glad you're here.